banks of the river Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine. It's a place I love best, 'cause it's better than the rest. Take me home to the banks of the river Tyne. Take me home to the banks of the river Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine. It's a place I love best, yes, it's better than the rest. Take me home to the banks of the river Tyne.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا بكم هذه الليلة في برنامج نيوكاسل مع وليد، الليلة التي تسبق مباراة نيوكاسل مع كريستال بالاس غدا السبت. معنا اليوم كابتن وارن بارتون من نجوم وأساطير نادي نيوكاسل يونايتد الذي لعب في حقبة زمنية في نادي نيوكاسل من عام 1995 إلى عام 2002. لاعب وارن بارتون لعب عدة أندية أبرزها طبعا نيوكاسل يونايتد. lads and lasses, welcome to Newcastle with Alwaleed. Tonight we have Captain Warren Barton on board. Welcome, Warren.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. Looking forward to it.
A lot to talk about regarding Newcastle now, but we want to get a little bit back, and we want to know, of course, you witness a great moment in your life with Newcastle United as a player. So can you tell us maybe the best moment or best moment you witnessed with Newcastle United?
Yeah, there were so many great moments. I was lucky enough to play for the likes of Kevin Keegan and players like Sir Les Ferdinand there, and Alan Shearer, David Ginola, Rob Lee, there's Gary Speed, Shay Given, and the list goes on and on and on. So very lucky to play with them players. So I was signed by Newcastle in 1995 for Kevin Keegan. It was a record for a defender at the time in the Premier League. So that was a big, big honour. And then to represent the club over 200 times, captain the team as well, and to play with some legendary players was quite magnificent. So, you know, all of the days that I played and trained was special. But there are special ones. The debut that we played against, for me, Les, Shaka Hislop and David Ginola with the home game where we won 3-0 against Coventry. That was a special occasion. The whole stadium was very similar to what we see at the weekend against Tottenham. It was all black and white. The fans was going ballistic and supporting the team. So that was a great occasion. Beaten Manchester United 5-0. That was just a few days ago, 25 years ago. So that was a big, big moment. Beating Barcelona with Tino Asprilla getting a hat-trick in the Champions League. Playing in cup finals, semi-finals. So I was very, very fortunate. I played with some good characters, good people and wonderful players to play in front of 52,000 passionate fans week in, week out was an honour. And also to have people like Kevin Keegan, Kenny Dalglish, and I think my best manager was Sir Bobby Robson, who took us back into the Champions League. So they was all special, but if you're asking me, it's not very often you beat Man United 5-0. It's not very often you beat Barcelona and your player gets a hat-trick. But very special, special times, great atmosphere. Now I'm older and wiser, I can reflect and look back and really savour them moments because it's a special, special football club and special, special fans.
Great, Captain Warren. Regarding this period, it's been described in Middle East and Saudi newspaper when they talk about Newcastle. They're talking especially about the time you play in Newcastle. As you said, the Champions League and the 5-0 of Manchester. They said this is maybe the best days of Newcastle club in the recent history. Are you agree?
Well, I look back and obviously knowing the club and War Jackie, the big centre forward that scored all the goals in the 50s for Newcastle when they went back to back and won the FA Cup. They was obviously special times. But I think in recent times, the very iconic Grandad collar shirts, the real start of the Premier League that burst onto global viewing, to be called the entertainers at that time, the football that we see now from, say, Barcelona and in Manchester City, we started to play that type of football with the likes of Philip Albert at the back, myself and John Beresford pushing forward. As I said, quality players, like Rob Lee, David Batty, Gary Speed, Peter Beardsley, these wonderful, wonderful players. And then you top it off with Alan Shearer, the record holder of scoring the goals in the Premier League, and Les Ferdinand and Tino Asprilla. It was special times. And I think for a lot of your fans, there was a connection with the players. I think what you find in the modern game, and maybe that's down to money, that it's a very elite section of players and they're a little bit untouchable. And but we was really much of the community. And that's what I love about the new ownership. They spoke about the community. They spoke about the game. They spoke about the women's team doing well. They spoke about the community, investing in the community. So that football club is the heart and soul of the city. And the heart and soul of the football club is the fans. And they mix in together. And we was ingrained in that time of part of being the entertainers, the real boom of the Premier League, the iconic black and white shirts that, you know, other teams don't have. You know, Man United wear red, so do Arsenal, you know. So there's other teams, but we have this special affinity with the fans. And when the fans travel, if we was to go to Manchester United or Blackburn or wherever it may be in London, there'd be 7,000 or 8,000 fans following us. And, you know, we knew after the game to go and speak to them fans, to be with them, whether we lost, which we didn't win every game, you know, but we'd go over there and appreciate that they spent their hard-earned money to come down there and watch us. We might get a little bit of abuse if we didn't win, but if we won, they'd have a beer on the way home and celebrate and enjoy with each other and sing songs and, you know, have a wonderful time on the way back. So we had that connection. I think that what emulates with the fans now, with the new ownership, with the new excitement, with the new atmosphere around the place, that togetherness seems to be back, you know, and hopefully we can start winning some games and push up the Premier League table, because that's what we all want.
Last week, Joe Morrison was on board. He was the media responsible in Newcastle. At the same time, you will play in Newcastle, and he explained that era is like so much positive atmosphere, and he's kind of lucky that he left before Mike Ashley came to the club.
Yeah, Joe was a journalist, young guy growing up, and I know him very well, and John Burridge and Kevin Campbell, who you have in that area. Yeah, great people, great characters as well. And, you know, with the local media, we had a relationship with them. You know, obviously they have a job to do. They have to be, you know, tell the story, and whether it's good or bad, or if we go away and lose a game. But I think there was that respect for each other. And, you know, I know social media has changed a lot of aspects, and there's things that go on social media which is not right at all. But there is that openness now, and that vulnerability with people. And we had that as players. You know, we would travel on the way back from Europe, Champions League, Europa football, and the journalists would be on the plane. They'd be in the same airport. They'd be talking to us. And, you know, they may give you a bad mark in a newspaper, but it wasn't a personal attack. And it was a way of being positive. The city was vibrant. There was new buildings being built, hotels being built, new roads being built, a sports arena being built. It was very a vibrant, energetic city, and the football club was part of that, and we was a big part of that as players. And we knew that if we'd go to a school to give a presentation, you know, they'd be excited to see us, and we'd we wanted to have pictures, we wanted to chat to them, speak to the teachers, speak to the nurses, speak to the doctors wherever we went, and had that connection. And we was really, you know, the role models for the club. You know, we was the ambassadors for the club, and we had a job to do. And we used to enjoy doing it. You know, yes, it took up some of your private life and your time, but that's what being a player at Newcastle is. You couldn't go in the petrol station or gas station without someone, what's going on the weekend? Who's going to talk? You go into a supermarket and you're getting your eggs and your milk, and someone saying, well, why did you do this the weekend? And even when you're buying a can of soda or Coke, whatever, they're saying, well, don't you think you should have done that? And you're just like, well, I just want to get a drink. But, you know, that's part of it. And, you know, it's a special time, and it was a special place. And Joe was part of that. You know, he was right in the middle of it all. And we had some good times. You know, it was very, very positive, very emotional times as well, because it was an emotional game. We was emotionally involved, and we was emotionally invested in what we was trying to do.
That's a great, Warren. I didn't want to talk about this much about this atmosphere. It's been changed with Mike Ashley and around the club. Of course, you have any connection at the club. You know, you talk to friends maybe in the club. Have it the interval of time with Mike Ashley atmosphere. how you can describe it in few words?
Negative. I think that was there was lack of respect for the football club. There was lack of respect for the fans. When you have a sports company, a brand that you own, you have so many emotions that are involved and so many people are involved. And Mike Ashley at the beginning was, it's not solely on Mike Ashley. When Mike Ashley took over, he brought people in to help him, sporting directors, communication. They didn't help him out because they didn't understand the club. They didn't understand the culture and the philosophy of the club. And that spiraled into a disconnection with the fans, a disconnection with the club. It was a small thing that the new owners did. And it sounds crazy, my friend, but cleaning the stadium up, caring about the football stadium is such a big thing. And Mike actually left it, not just him, but people around him, just wasn't caring, wasn't bothered about that. People that was going into the executive lounge or into the stadium, there was no merchandise. There was no feeling of appreciation. It was just an empty shell. And as I said, that's the heart and soul of the city. Whenever you get a chance, and please God, you have that opportunity that you go and see the stadium, it's like a beacon light as you come into the stadium on the train station, on the freeway, motorway. You see it. When Ashley was there, it was like a cloud over the stadium. It was very depressing. And that has changed like that. That just has changed, and it's a small thing. There's a possibility and a positivity in the lights, and there's a light in the stadium. And, it's just a new atmosphere. There's a positivity that we've had. And you can see the celebrations, people that care, that are invested. And that's all we ever wanted. We're not saying we're going to, obviously we'd love to win the Champions League. We'd love to win the Premier League. But all we're saying is please care and be competitive. And I genuinely believe we've got a great chance of competing. Now, if we win it, wow, we're in with the big boys. But all we want to do is compete. And, in that time under Mike Ashley, it was very, very difficult. But can I just say as well to the fans, even when it got relegated and in the Champions, there was still 52,000 people going to that stadium. Did they want to go? Was they infused to go? No, but they did it because they loved the club, and they went there. And again, they just had no connection with the fans. And as I said, it's changed now, and we can look forward. That's a history of the club that we can drive us forward. Use that negativity to drive us forward. We don't ever want to go there again. We don't want to ever experience walking into a stadium feeling like that. I want the players to feel what I felt walking down and coming up and hearing that roar that they did on Sunday every single week going into that stadium. Not the groans, not the moans, not the silence of a stadium. You want to hear the roar, the passion, and that's what seems to be back at the club at the moment.
All right, we're gonna move forward, and we're gonna you will if you can, you will give your message to the player. But Captain Warren, and this is not looking very good. So how we can? Okay, this we can't pass this picture. Let's go to the other 10.
No, don't go to the bottom. Stay in the middle. We don't want to be on the bottom.
but as you say, this is it's still not looking very well. And as you see here, we are the worst defense. But okay, worst defense. But the positive side, we have 10 goals, and Brighton and Everton doesn't have these 10 goals. So what we should do, what the players should do to get in let's say the coming 2 or 4 games to a little bit go from this bottom.
Yeah, I've done my coaching license, and I'm lucky enough to do my UEFA B, my A license, my Pro license. So part of making sure the back line is organised, disciplined, function in the right area is quite an easier thing to do. For a coach to make sure there's no gaps in between. Make sure your positional sense from the ball to your goal line is in the right areas. Make sure the communication is good. A lot of these players played under Rafa Benitez and had one of the best defensive records. So it's going back to the training ground. It's going back to working to your trade. It's going back to spending 15, 20 minutes each day of organising the back four, the goalkeepers. I'll give you a brief example on the game, and I think everybody watched it against Tottenham. When, unfortunately, the supporter had the heart attack, you sort of had a 7-minute timeout. You conceded a goal with Harry Kane, We got off to a wonderful start with Wilson, and then obviously the fitness level dropped after 20 minutes. That was very noticeable. So that was the first thing that jumped out straight away. And then it started to get gaps in the field. And then, you know, the back line was caught with Harry Kane's goal. Your fullback should never be the last man. He was pushed forward. So that goes down to organisation. So the fitness level wasn't good. Then you look at the organisation. You get the timeout where they concede the goal. So it's 2-1. The next conversation as a player and a coach should be, we're not conceding again. 3-1, this game's over. 2-1, we got a chance, because we know with Saint-Maximin, we know with Wilson, we're going to create chances. So what I would have done is said to my back line, make sure we squeeze up a little bit higher. If there's pressure on the ball, we can go up. If there's not, we have to have a position. I would have said Maximin and Wilson, play as a front two. They're very vulnerable, Tottenham, with their two centre-halves. They love to push their fullbacks on, so it leaves them two centre-halves isolated. And undoubtedly, our most explosive players and talented players is Wilson and Maximin. So use two, play against them. Ask Joe Linton just to do a job. I know he won't like doing it, but play on that left-hand side, and we will go 4 in midfield with Willock sliding over. So now we've got Longshaft and Hayden in the middle. So that midfield area's got a 2. The 2 wide players are connected to the midfield players. So now we've got a bank of 4. And you're leaving your 2 strikers up. This is just for the 7 minutes until we get into half time. We didn't do that. Our wide players didn't want to come back. Our fullback got tucked in. The ball got played out wide. We're 3-1 down. It's game over. Then you bring John Joe Shelby on, which is never going to change a game. He's a good, decent passer of the ball, but he can't run. He gets a yellow card and then gets sent off. And then it's anarchy. You know, then the tactical side of the game has gone. And they could have got 4 or 5 and gone forward. So from my point of view, it's working on the training ground with your defensive unit and your goalkeeper to make sure there's a good starting position for him. There's an understanding of game management. You know, Mourinho was always an expert in this, in the games management of like, who's their weakness, who's their strength, how can you adjust in that? You know, Pep Guardiola and Klopp, they respect the opposition, but they're going to play their way. They're not going to change for anybody. And you respect that. But Mourinho is a tactician. And until Newcastle get into that level of playing their way and how we're going to play, we need to be tactically aware, players, coaches. And unfortunately, if I was a new owner sitting there, I would have looked and thought, wow, we don't look particularly fit. We got off to a wonderful start. We didn't, then we run out of gas. Then our positional and our tactical sense was all over the place. There was gaps everywhere. And then we didn't address it when we had 2 opportunities, not 1. Normally at halftime, you have 1 opportunity. We had 2 opportunities and we didn't change it. And we ended up losing the game. Yes, we got got the second goal late on. So, you know, to answer your question, coaching defenders, it's a privilege. It's an honor. You've got to learn your trade. And we didn't do that. There were so many signs that it was disjointed, it was unorganized, and it was chaos. Hopefully it'd be better against Crystal Palace because I think the captain is a good captain. I think, Richie is playing left back. I think he's a solid player. Clark, okay, maybe he's not at the level that we want, but that's what we've got at the moment. But it's just putting the right players in the right time and letting them know what they have to do. You know, it's like a job. It's like an actor. You got to know what your job is. If you go out and just play, and you're playing against world-class players, Harry Kane, Son, they're going to ask questions of you. You need to be ready to have a foundation of how you're going to play. And unfortunately, we didn't have that. But I'm sure that will change.
You speaking tactically, speaking of tactics, and your talk reminds me of the press conference of Graham Jones, which he said he confirmed. Maybe not this one. Okay, maybe that's the one. He said every single player. Right?
I see this. Yeah, it's go on. You read it.
Every single player, 20 players plus goalkeepers, will have had the same experience tactically, both on and off the ball. Whatever side I decide to go with, they will all be ready. They will all know their jobs. That's what my focus has been. Do you think this is the difference between Graham Jones and Steve Bruce? Is that the message that it's like saying, I understand it this way. It's like Graham Jones saying, I am doing something that Steve Bruce didn't do.
Yeah, Steve Bruce took a lot of criticism personally, which is wrong. And I want to say that for the record about his family, about him individually, was wrong. The criticism tactically and managementally, that's fair game. That's the business he's done. I mean, he's had 1,000 games in the game. So Steve understands that. And I played against Steve, and he was a wonderful captain and leader. But I think Steve relied on his players to work it out for themselves. You know, you're Wilson, you're a striker, you know. The game has changed, you know, in 15, 20 years, you know, the tactics, we have analytics now, we have stats, we have we have, you know, times to watch other teams play. And Graham's totally right, because you got to see what the strengths and weaknesses are. So as a player, I had no doubt with Kevin Keegan how I would play. I had no doubt with Kenny Dalglish how I would play. I had a doubt with Ruud Gullit. I wasn't sure how he was playing. I never had a doubt with Sir Bobby Robson. And as a player, you don't want to have that doubt, because as players, it's an easy out to say, well, I don't know. The coach didn't tell me. And sometimes as coaches, we maybe give the players too much credit that they're able to work it out for themselves. They're not, you know, they're not, because the game is so quick. The things are going on so much. They're human beings. But as a player, when you're playing, if you know your foundation, the three things you know to go back to, that helps you as a striker, as a midfield player, as a fullback, as a goalkeeper. Obviously, you know, Jones has said that we need to know. You need to know your foundations. You need to know what we do. When we go to Crystal Palace, how do they play? They do play with wide players. They want to try and isolate our wide players, but it leaves their midfield quite vulnerable. How can we exploit that? So nullify their strengths. So wide players, come and help your fullbacks out. Fullbacks, show them inside, show them outside, whatever the tactics may be. But then when we get the ball, how are we going to hurt them? How are we going to penetrate them? How can we do that? And as a player, when you're playing, right, when they have it, I know to do this. When we get it, right, that's my outlet. And, you know, that simplifies the game for players. And you touched on it, my friend. We've got some good players. We've got some fair players, but they need to be given direction. And hopefully, you know, we go and get a win away from home or a point. And then we play Chelsea. Let's have got nothing to lose against Chelsea. Everybody's expecting Chelsea, but they're missing their two strikers, Lukaku. Let's go and have a go at them. And I think in the past, as a football club, we've given the opposition too much respect. You know, we've said, oh, wow, we're going to sit back. We're going to invite, whether we're home or away, and we're going to sit there and say, God, we're not good enough. Well, we're going to change that mindset as a coach and say, we are good enough. Your weakness is there. Your weakness is here. I'm going to exploit your weakness. And that may change in the game. And that's where you have to be tactically aware as a player and as a coach as what's going on.
Do you expect big change in the style of play tomorrow?
Yes, I do. I do. I expect an aggressive play. I expect more of a work ethic. I expect players to be organised and compact. So there's four things straight away I expect to see change. Now, if you add that to a bit more confidence and the ability, we've got a good chance. There's no reason why we can't go to Crystal Palace and win and keep a clean sheet. That should be your mindset. We ain't conceding. And then we've got enough to try and score a goal. You know, you've seen them against Arsenal. You know, they conceded a late goal from a set piece and the second ball. So that, although it was a draw, would feel like a loss to them. So you got to try and jazz it. I mean, we have took 3,500 fans to go down there. So there will be a lot of Geordies down there screaming and shouting and cheering you on. So you're not going to be isolated. So, you know, that would be another way of getting forward and obviously, you know, turning the corner and getting out of that bottom three, draw a game, win a game, start grinding your way up. And then hopefully the new ownership will get some new players come January. And I don't expect us to sign Mbappe and Haaland in January, but I do expect to find athletic, strong, composed, solid football players that can compete in the Premier League. That's what I expect the next transfer window.
If I ask you, Patrick Vieira, the coach of Crystal Palace, do you think he preferred to face Graham Jones or Steve Bruce?
Steve Bruce, no doubt. I know Patrick. We actually exchanged shirts in a game when we played. I'm a big fan of Patrick, and first of all, a fantastic person, a great person. You see his comments that he made about the new ownership, and he said it's great for Newcastle. There was no jealousy, there was no envy, there was no underlying lines that he was saying. I know about him because he coached in the MLS in America, so him working out here and learning his trade. but I still want to beat him on Saturday. I still want to win the game, and hopefully we get the 3 points. But he's that type of caliber and person that you have instant respect for, regardless of what he did on the field, but just as a person as well, as a human being.
That's really a huge game tomorrow. بكرة مباراة الساعة 5 tomorrow 5 o'clock Saudi time. Also, and beside Crystal Palace, we just know today that also Graham Jones will be charged for Chelsea game as well. How do you see that? Why? And we know now. Now let's move to the new coach coming, or maybe big chance he will come. Fonisca, the Portuguese coach. It seems there is a huge progression with the signing the coach. So why he can't catch Chelsea game in your opinion? Why Jones will have the 2 games?
I think the 2 games to give is the new ownership time to have the interviews, to speak to people. What I like about this new ownership, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. They're not just going to... It would have been quite easy at the beginning to sack Steve Bruce on the Monday, new ownership, but they didn't. They gave themselves time. With the new coach coming in, experiencing the Champions League with Shakhtar Donetsk, with Roma, understanding the high-level games, understanding foreign players as well, the mentality. But I believe they've given Jones the 2 games, the Crystal Palace and Chelsea, just to give them time to operate. The Chelsea game will be a wonderful atmosphere again. There will be, you think the atmosphere against Tottenham was wonderful. It will be even better, I believe, against Chelsea. And Chelsea, maybe off the back of Champions League games. I mean, they have a strong squad. And Thomas Tuchel is a wonderful coach. Tactics-wise is good. But it's on our stadium, and we can hopefully, get the result we deserve. But I also think it gives, if the new coach comes in, say Monday or Tuesday, it will give him some time to try and operate without having to deal with it straight away, to let Jones do the coaching, to get to know the players as a coach, to take a backward step, see how people operate on the training ground, get to know the players, and not be thrown in at the deep end straight away. It will give him time to understand the philosophy and where the club are, and to find a home, make sure he's got a car, just know them things that makes it comfortable going forward. So that's why I believe they've done it. And I also think they're doing their homework. I don't think there's just one target. I think there's 3 or 4 people that they're looking at and speaking to. So this job is a really appealing job for someone. Not only the club itself and the fans, that's appealing, but then to also have the resources that you think they can imagine, new training facilities, the stadium will get a little bit of TLC, players, academy, city, community, buildings. There's a lot to be proud of and to be motivated by. So it's a decision, and it's a big call. And I would like to say as well, not every decision this new ownership is going to make is going to be the correct one. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it was built, and there was obstacles you have to go over. So it's not going to be, because you have so much money and you have it takes time. It takes time. But what we need to do is strike while the iron's hot, and make sure the players, make sure we keep momentum, make sure we keep belief, and make sure we keep that togetherness as a club. And I think that's one of the most important things we have to do.
I'm confused to ask which question. I have 2 questions, but okay, I will ask this one. You said
you're my friend. You can ask both. It's up to you.
Yeah, but I don't know which first. You said Rome not built in Rome, but how you see Fonisca build Rome, the club?
Yeah, it was difficult. I mean, it wasn't. It probably wasn't finished. It wasn't built, so maybe he didn't have enough time. So listen, we look at a lot of managers and say, whether it's Pep's decisions that he made at Bayern Munich towards the end, never won the Champions League. You can look right across the board, and I think what's important for a coach is that you learn from that. You learn and you go forward. And the biggest thing that he's going to have to do is what I would do. And so Bobby Robson used to do it when he went to Portugal, to Porto, when he went to Holland, when he went to Barcelona, is get someone that knows the club. Get people around you that know the club, and people that you can trust, because you can't trust everybody in this game. You can't. There's a lot of people you shouldn't trust. But I think it's important for him. He'll have a connection. Now, if it is him, but he'll have his one or two coaches that he trusts and he's been around. But also, I think it's important for him to understand what it is in the football club, where he is. That would be something that I would definitely speak to people about before I would rush and clear everybody out and bring in my own staff. I would be clever enough to find out people, ex-players, speak to people that have been around the club and around the league. I would use them resources. It's easy now with Zoom calls. We're doing it. It's easy to do that and just spend 2 or 3 hours finding out a little bit more.
It's a huge opportunity for Graham Jones. He charged now in two big important games because the situation is standing table. What if he did great in those two games? Could he continue and
yeah, I think
continue to the rest of the season, or maybe at least January, maybe?
Yeah, I think he understands, and he's had a good conversation. It's like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he first started as the interim coach, he went on this incredible run and got them back playing. Then as soon as he signed, he couldn't win a game. So football is sometimes a wonderful game, but it's a crazy game. And if Graham gets 3 points against Palace, then he gets 3 points against Chelsea, then he gets another result. And I would be tempted to keep it going and keep having the dialogue with these coaches, keep speaking to these coaches, because why spoil the apple cart? Listen, if they've made a decision already, I think you're right. In 2 weeks, we're going to change regardless. We need to have this coach. This is our number one target. He's available now. We're going to get him. But if it's not your number one target, and it's really maybe just the people that are available at the moment, I would tend I would ride it. I would let it ride a little bit and just see how it goes. And if this uncertainty, like the journalists are going to say, oh, are you going to give them the job? I don't know. I'll give it next week. I might be the week after. And you just keep riding this wave. That would be a lovely situation to be in, because that would then mean that we're getting results. We're pushing up the league. And, that's a decision that I think the owners would love to have. It's not like, oh my God, we've lost 2 games. Now I've got to bring him in and we're points adrift. It would be a good situation to be in. And also for Jones's point of view, it's like a feather in his cap. He's there. He can help the club if maybe another job becomes available. But this is his boyhood club, and he said the right things in the media. He wants to be there. But if another opportunity opened up, he's shown that he can coach at that level. So, it's a win-win situation for everybody.
When you said Solskjaer story, you remind me of Rio Ferdinand when the famous scene when he said, "Let him put the numbers he wants." That scene. So well, let's hope this is not.
If I'm put against Rio Ferdinand, I'm delighted, because he was a hell of a player. So I'm delighted with things like that.
Okay, Funesca, do you think he's the right one available now? Is it? He's now have experience in Premier League. Do you think this is the right choice?
I don't know the man personally. I obviously know about his record and obviously the way he's conducted himself as a coach. I would give him the benefit of the doubt, but like I echo myself, he would, if he took over the job and was given the job, I would give him the opportunity to bring in people that understand the background and the history of Newcastle. It's not a normal club. It's a special club. It's got special memories. All clubs are different. All have their own unique identities and DNA. But this is a special club, as Kevin Keegan has said numerous times, and Sir Bobby Robson. So I'd be conscious with that. The only maybe doubt against him is not knowing the Premier League. But I think everybody knows the Premier League. People watch the Premier League and people are involved in it and hear about it. Particularly, he played against teams that are in the Premier League. But it's one thing watching it and being outside, but being in the middle of it is then totally different. But he would get my support. There's no doubt. Would there be maybe someone else I would look at and think, well, maybe that's he ticks more boxes, possibly, but are they available? Maybe not. I remember when the consortium was looking to take over the club 18 months ago and Pochettino was available. I like him. I think he was an excellent coach. He's very positive with his players. He's very positive with the way he plays. He's good with young players. He's good with the media. He's good around the football club. That's one thing you need to be. You need to be an open book when you're a coach there. So if you are going into Newcastle, you can't put the barriers up. You've got to let them in. You've got to be an open book and understand that that's part and parcel of it. So I would make sure that he endears himself to the fans, to the people, to the area as well. So yeah, listen, there's the opportunity there. There's, as I said, there's people that are interested. Whoever gets the club, and I've always supported the club. You know, I've always, whether it was Steve or Graham Souness, you know, people, I've always got behind the club. I want them to succeed. I want them to have the times that we had. Even better, I want them to win it. I never won it. We failed twice. We come runners up twice. I'd love them to win it. And now we might have a realistic chance in the next 3 to 5 years of doing that.
Graham Jones, Funesca, these two names. If I ask you to add other possible name, you think he's available and he could do a good job in this moment, who you would want it to be?
Can I put my own name forward?
Of course.
And you know, I would love to have the opportunity, but obviously you look around, you know, people that are available. Eddie Howe is someone that's young, ambitious. As I said, Pochettino is a coach that's got an identity, the way they coach, the way they understand. Nagelsmann, that's at Bayern Munich. I'm a big fan of him. I've watched the Bundesliga. Thomas Tuchel is another coach, but they're not going to leave. There's a lot of people that would interest me about the club and going forward. It's just what's available at the moment. You know, Mourinho's name has been linked. I think maybe, you know, that wouldn't be someone at the moment. I know he's a little magpie because of Sir Bobby, and he would understand the understandings of the club. But I look at, say, like a Pochettino and Nagelsmann, that type of coach, forward thinking, good ideas, open, great personalities, good enthusiasm for the game. They're the ones that I would look at. You know, some old school sergeant major, that ain't really going to happen. I don't think. I think the game is different. You know, you need to evolve. You need to understand that. So they're the names that I would throw out there, as well as myself.
you like result expectation question, or just remove it?
No, you're fine. You're anything you want to do, that's fine.
Okay, Crystal Palace game. What is the expected score, and Chelsea game with Graham Jones?
My heart says 2-1 to Newcastle against Crystal Palace, but my head's saying 1-1, so a tie. And I think with the emotion, with the enthusiasm and the passion, we might beat Chelsea 1-0. That's what I'm going for.
I have big chance to attend the Chelsea game.
Oh, you haven't got a ticket for me, have you? Have you got a spare ticket? Can you get? I can't get a ticket.
I planned this long time ago, so hopefully.
Okay. I want to see lots of pictures. I want to see lots
of
pictures.
Course.
I want to see lots of photos of you.
You will see, yeah.
Good
so
man.
I hope I will be there, and I wish if we win this, it's gonna be a great memory. Okay, so now we go to the comments. But before we go to the comments of the viewers, I have some picture here. If you just maybe, sometimes the picture tell a story, or maybe you remind something of us. When I searched for some picture for you, this was interesting. Do you remember where it's taken?
Yes, of course I do. We went to Sunderland, and we equalised late on. So that was the big emotion. We had got, the atmosphere was fantastic, you know, in the stadium, the lights, and again behind the goal we had about 8,000 Geordies behind there, and we had been abused, and the fans and the passion and the atmosphere was tense, to say the least, and we scored, and it was just letting the Mackhams, the Sunderland fans, know that we just scored. So yeah, I remember that one very, very well, and I was captain for the day. So you know, my leader, Sir Alan Shearer, wasn't playing, so I was honoured to have the armband. I've still got that armband, actually. I've
that's very great. Very great. How was the score against Sunderland?
1-1.
1-1 draw.
Yeah. So we you know, obviously we was up against it, but we got the result we needed. You can't lose to them. You cannot lose to them, whatever happens. Okay, that was when David Beckham was in Miami, and he'd just been given the opportunity of the MLS franchise for his Inter Miami, and it was I was working with Fox, and I was interviewing David, which is quite ironic because we was in the same England squads together. Obviously, I'm a lot older than David, but he was just breaking through. Played against David as well, and had the opportunity to interview him. So that was quite a nice moment, and he was very, very gracious. He was great being interviewed, and it was a pleasure. He's a gentleman. He's a top class guy on and off the field.
If you didn't look closely to the picture, it seemed like Beckham, he's interviewing you.
Well, he probably wanted to interview me, but it was, I was working that day, so David had to do the questions. But yeah, no, I don't think it would be a good interview. This is with me and my good friend Rob Lee. We signed for Derby. So Bobby Robson had said to both of us, look,
that's after Newcastle.
After Newcastle, yeah. So that's Derby County. Me and Rob Lee, we signed together, and I had the honour of playing with Rob for 10 years. And still a good friend of mine now. Seen his kids grow up. So yeah, we went to Derby together and had a couple of years there playing towards the end of our careers. So that was a special moment. The great Gary Speed on the far right. That was again, I believe, against Coventry. And I think the comment would be, please don't let it hit us. So there was Stephen Glass, who's the manager of Aberdeen now, Rob Lee, and Stefan Givash. People wouldn't know him, the guy in the middle. He won a World Cup for France and then come to Newcastle. He lasted about 6 weeks and went up to Glasgow Rangers. But he was a good guy. I didn't really get to know him that well, but he seemed a nice guy. But it was great to see Rob Lee and Gary Speed, two wonderful players, and obviously sad that we lost Gary a few years ago. But he's still in my mind, and he was my room partner for 4 years. So we had a lot of good times. And
also great shirts, by the way.
Shirts
I
as
like
well.
this.
Do you notice amazing. With the shirts, it's one size fits all. There's not a medium, there's not a small, there's not a large. They're all the same. I mean, look at Rob Lee. They're all the same size.
Yeah, it's very big.
Yeah, it's long for him.
Ginola.
That was a special. Yeah, that was David Ginola, and I'm sure that's at White Hart Lane that he scored against Tottenham with the iconic shirts. And when me and David signed together with Les Ferdinand and Sheka Hislop, we become very good friends off the field, and still are. And he left, and we used to live actually as neighbours when he first was at when he was only at Newcastle. So we got to know David very, very well. Quick story about David. I was actually sharing a room with him the first game we played away. It was a pre-season game, I think, in Scotland. And David, being David, was walking around talking, and he was on the phone quite a bit. Then he started to light up a cigarette. And I don't smoke. I hate smoking. I don't smoke at all. Never have, never will. And I was like, David, it's 11 o'clock at night. You can't start smoking in the room. We've got a game tomorrow. But that was his mentality. He would sit there smoking, and then he would. So I lasted one night with David Ginola because I couldn't stand the smoke. So I moved out for him and went with Les Ferdinand. And David had to go on his own, actually, he might have gone with Philippe Albert, but I couldn't be in the room when he smoked. And he was a little bit upset, actually, a bit typical French. He was very temperamental. And he was like, why smoking? It's not a problem. I went, I can't have it, David. I can't have it in the room. So off you. And that's a very common thing for continental players to have a cigarette.
Also, speaking about the shirts, we're missing now the great shirts. Do you expect this is maybe something we're looking for? Yes. Maybe we get some of these interesting shirt again in different style, same color.
I'm saying next season we'll have a grandad collar shirt. You'll have the small collar. You'll have that on. There's no doubt that will start coming back, and maybe it'll be different designs, different colors. Maybe it'll be all black, but I'm sure that will come along because it's an iconic time. And when you think of that shirt, whether you're a Newcastle fan or not, you think of good times. You think of good things.
So, yes. So, do you think we will have this the retro shirts again?
Yes, I think next season, whoever our sponsor, whether it's Puma, Adidas, whoever, Nike, I think that will be the first thing they do. Obviously, the sponsor in the middle might be different, but I think the actual shirt, the color, will be part of it. And because as I said, I think people remember that. That's when we played in Bulgaria. We'd scored the winning goal, or someone had scored the winning. I think might be Kieran underneath there, and Gary Speed as well, Tamuri and Didier Dome. We was away there, and that was a very hostile atmosphere in Europa. But we managed to beat them and get the goal towards the end. So, yeah, that was a good moment. This one is, again, we played Nottingham Forest, last game of the season. They got relegated. Soles got a couple of goals, and I was there celebrating with him. We won 5-0. That qualified us for the Champions League. What was even nicer when we found out Middlesbrough and Sunderland both got relegated at the same time. So you can imagine what Newcastle was like that night. So it was a special time. So we was in the Champions League for the first time, and they both got relegated, and we beat Forest 5-0.
Triple happiness.
People didn't go home for 4 days. It was quite celebrations in the area. There was some celebrations.
Wow, amazing.
Good memory.
I took this from the header.
Yes, I was actually working with Fox, and I was calling a Champions League game against Manchester United and Real Madrid, and I had the pleasure of speaking to Sir Alex Ferguson. And Sir Alex, being Harry he invited me over for lunch in the hotel in Madrid before the game, and it was the best 2 hours of speaking to Sir Alex about coaching, players, the game, life. It was an honour to be with him. Obviously, I'd known Sir Alex and played against these teams, and I've interviewed Alex before when he was in America for Fox. But I was over there in Madrid, and for him to invite us over for lunch with the players, to sit there and chat to him, was something very, very special. And, yes, he broke my heart in 95, 96 and 96, 97 with his team. But I've got nothing but respect for him and his team and his football club, and what he's given to the game. So to sit there and, just be in his mind, and I was like a sponge. Whatever he was saying, I was taking on board. And it was the same with Sir Bobby Robson. We would sit on an away trip, and I'd say to the gaffer, what was it like when you was with England? What was it like in Barcelona? And it was like I was interviewing him, but all I was trying to get is information out of him, because the more he gave me, the better it made me as a man, as a person, but also understanding the game and understanding football as well. So that was a special time to be with him, because he was an open book. And don't forget, he's getting ready for a Champions League game against Mourinho's Real Madrid, but he was quite prepared to give up 2 hours of his time with a mutual friend and myself to talk about the game and to talk about where the game was going and everything. So I think that speaks volumes about him as a person as well.
I have a story with Sir Alex, but it's not he came to Saudi Arabia, to Riyadh, for a game against Al Hilal team, Manchester United, and Al Hilal team for retirement of Captain Sami Al Jaber. And actually, I asked him for an autograph. It was really,
that's he did it. He did it.
Yes.
Yeah, he would do. He would. You would surprise me. He would stand there signing autographs, being with people. Yeah, he's he's just a proper human being. Just a lovely. A quick story with Sir Bobby Robson. It was at Crystal Palace. We played Crystal Palace. We drew. He was very angry about our performance. So Bobby spent 45 minutes doing autographs for the fans, and we missed our flight. We had to get a later flight to go back because he was doing autographs for the fans. So that just shows you what they're like, these people.
Yeah, I have also his book. I read some parts of it. I don't know what is it now, but it's really have interesting story.
No. Yeah, I mean, they're iconic people of world sport, let alone football, but just world sport in general. But yeah, great.
Last picture.
That was like a Panini sticker. You can see the shirts as well. One size fits all. That's supposed to be here. It's just down by my elbow. I think that would have been maybe like 99 or 2000. I've still got the long hair. I've still got the centre parting. So it would have been about that time. But yeah, as a kid, I remember collecting these in England, of players at Arsenal and Manchester United and Liverpool, all these stickers. And Panini, the stickers have been going for as long as I can remember. So actually to be in one of them stickers and have that is quite surreal sometimes. It's the little things, you know, and people asking me for autographs, you know. I was told twice I was too small, you're never going to make it, but then people asking me to sign cards and sign stickers like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice. Someone always said to me, it's when they stop asking for autographs when you have to worry, when they stop asking. So there you go.
Great. And I wish later on in the future, near future, I have your autograph, Captain Warren.
No, pleasure, no fun. You could. We'll have a coffee together. There's no doubt.
Amazing. Looking forward to it. Kamal saying, Salam Alwaleed and Warren. I have a special place in my heart for the 90s era. Great times and wonderful players.
I think that, you know, again, it was that good times. It was that feeling of togetherness and the spirit, and it was a unique time for the Premier League, and obviously Newcastle was a big part of that. And you know, the area was vibrant. It was lively. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Banks of River Tyne is a song from Junior Turner, and he want to thank you for sharing that the song, Captain Warren.
Absolute pleasure. You know, it's, as I said, they're wonderful people. They get great songs as well. You know, they keep singing it and singing it and singing it. You know, I had a song the fans would sing about my hair, so you know, you got a centre part in. So you know that was one thing as well. So yeah, they have some good knowledge. They some good imagination about some songs.
Yeah, this one in particular, I love it very much, and he let me he gave it to me as a gift to use it in a theme, Bank of River Tynes.
Yeah, cool.
But it was embarrassing for me when I asked him, what's mean of the banks? I just know banks word.
Yeah. See, it's a whole new language. Don't worry.
Yeah,
when you go there against Chelsea, once you get a Geordie in the car, it's a whole new world. You're going to have to tell them to speak slowly.
Actually, I'm studying now George's word with Dave from the show. Okay. Hello to all our Saudi brothers. Peace upon you all, lads. Warren, top fella. I would like to wish what you will to lad.
Thank you very much.
Dennis. Anything better than Mike? That's it.
See, that's not fair. But I know where it's coming from, but that's not fair.
Okay, Conte would be my first choice. What do you think?
Yeah,
of Conte.
I think, yeah, I like Conte. He's a winner. He's available. Yeah, I think he ticks a lot. He's obviously been successful in the Premier League. Yeah, he would be a name that would be in that top three. There's no doubt about that.
Christopher, our friend Christopher, Warren, a big fan of yours since the entertainers and ever since on NBC Sports and Fox you have represented in UFC. Well, hopefully a place for you in the new ownership management setup.
Fingers crossed. You know, I'd love to be involved some way. You know, as I said, but hopefully they start winning some games, then we can worry about that. But yeah, I mean, the game over here in the States is just getting bigger and bigger, and NBC, Fox have done a great job of advertising the Premier League. And, you know, Fox and myself and people that are involved, it's been great. And Newcastle are obviously getting a lot of headlines at the moment. So hopefully that continues.
My favorite shirt, 96 away. What's your favorite shirt?
No, my favorite one was the 95-96, the Grandad colour. Yeah, I like that then. Yeah, I did like that one. The one that you showed in Bulgaria, the Sofia with a little bit of blue, the V-neck, I did like that one. That was a cool one. And we had a really cool one. I think it was like 98, the black. There's a black one, V-neck we had.
Give me this one.
Yeah, that shirt I liked. But then there was one that was just plain black. And that was cool. And there was a very, very good one, which was like a denim V colour that we had the season 90. That would have been 96, 97. It was like this colour blue, actually, like a denim blue with a V-neck, which was a good shirt as well.
We have here...
anything with black and white's good. So you can't go wrong.
Rudy Garcia is the man for me. Available, terrific records. Compare his record at Roma to Funesca.
Yeah. Again, you know, that's the type of manager we're looking at. You know, Rudy Garcia, where, you know, with Mike Ashley, with all due respect, we wasn't looking in that that market for coaches. You know, now we're looking at these coaches that have been successful at big clubs like Roma and been in the Champions League and Shakhtar Donetsk, and you know, so there's a lot of quality into Milan. So, as I said, this job is very appealing for a lot of people.
It's a pleasure meeting you, Captain Warren. Your message to Saudi Arabia fans of Newcastle.
Just to say, we really appreciate your support, your positivity, your togetherness, and your spirit. And you know, just keep supporting the club, keep watching the boys, and away the lads. You know, it's a special club, and you're special people, whether in Saudi Arabia, wherever you might be, any part of the world. But we know now that there's that togetherness, that spirit. And keep supporting the tune, because we feel your passion and your warmth towards the club, and we need that. We need to stick together, and we need to start winning games. So we appreciate everything you do, and we love everything you do.
كان معنا كابتن وارن بارتون لاعب نيوكاسل السابق واللاعب الدولي للمنتخب الإنجليزي. نأمل أن تكونوا استمتعتم معنا. نتمنى التوفيق والفوز لنيوكاسل غدا أمام كريستال بالاس. نراكم إن شاء الله على خير في الغد. شكرا لكم، شكرا للمتابعة. Thank you, Captain Warren.
Absolute pleasure. Good luck. Thank you.